Are you tired of the quarterback question, or is it a good problem to have?
No, with Dylan and Shedeur that are just sponges and listening.
And I would say there's a lot of work that gets done when you guys aren't out there, believe it or not.
But the Browns have exclusively not had an identity. I don't think that's one of the hardest positions through this whole Shedeur Sanders situation is being the head coach for Shedeur Sanders. Like many people assumed, a lot of questions are going to be kind of brought up about having Shedeur Sanders on your roof, but it's even more perplexing when you draft a quarterback before him and then you have three other quarterbacks presumed on the roster. So today, Kevin Stefanski spoke, I believe, at a pro-am out there in Cleveland. They were getting some golf shots. They were hitting the puck, son. I'm not a good golfer. I stay with the foosball. I'm trying to learn golf because my guy's getting married, so I gotta learn quick. But so he was doing that, giving some responses about the quarterback room, how things are going together. Also, we have some comments from legendary legendary Browns player. Browns fans, y'all correct me, let me know if I'm wrong or not. Joel Bitonio, he's gonna have some comments as well. And it comes at a good time because the Browns also had some crazy offensive line news where you're missing someone who could have been a contributor. So we'll talk about that. Dylan Gabriel was also on a podcast, and Kenny Pickett, the same podcast as well, sharing their thoughts about how things are moving. So lots of videos to react to. We're just going to be reacting to, giving our comments, kind of the thought process there. And then we'll kind of take that next step, man. If you enjoy these types of video, go ahead and leave a like on it. Dislike if you don't like it. Subscribe if you enjoy football content of all shapes and sizes. Let's hear what Coach Kevin Stefanski has to say about the Browns quarterback room.
Yeah, those guys are doing great. They are both wired to get in early, stay late, put in whatever work is required. They're sponges in the meeting room, which I think is really fun for me. In my vantage point, I get to sit there and watch the two young guys look over, and there's Joe, 40 years old, won a Super Bowl. There's Kenny Pickett, just going into year 4, but first-round draft pick that's been on a couple teams, won a Super Bowl last year. There's Deshaun, had a ton of success in his career. They can kind of feed off of all those guys. So that's the thing I'm really it's fun for me to watch them get better sometimes just by listening.
That's amazing. And like I'm going to continue saying, no matter how many people want to, label me a Shedeur Glazer, I'm going to continue highlighting Dylan Gabriel. And I think it's important to highlight that both of these young quarterbacks are seemingly taking advantage of the opportunity that they have. Shedeur seemingly doing a lot of locker room work, a lot of different things. Again, he's a 5th-round pick, so he's got to do 5th-round pick stuff. But Dylan Gabriel, in the same regard, seems to be going about his business as somebody who really feels like he's running his own race, and I appreciate that. Right, I really appreciate that. It doesn't feel like all that crazy Shedeur stuff is phasing Dylan Gabriel, right? It really feels like whenever you see the little clips, and I think I released a video either after this or before this one, where they were like doing the rooks and cooks and stuff like that, and like I'm like, yo, Dylan's got like, he's got a swag to him. He's got a confidence to him. He's got like, okay, hey, I don't care that y'all are overly focused on Shedeur because I'm overly focused on doing my thing. And that's what breeds excellence. That's what breeds that next level. So if you're a Browns fan, you got to be happy that both of your young quarterbacks are getting high praise from your head coach. So here's some more snippets about whether it be Shedeur and just the team at large.
Are you tired of the quarterback question, or is it a good problem to have?
No, listen, this is sports, man. People are interested in our game. It's the NFL. It's that's the beauty of what we do. Everybody's interested in what we're doing. They're interested in our OTAs. They're interested in obviously games and that type of thing. But I love this part of our job, and what it speaks to, I think the question speaks to, is competition. And at the end of the day, that's what we're about. On Sundays, they're competing, they're keeping score. So if we're competing for a job like we are at certain positions, that's all in the spirit of what our game is about.
Do you feel like all 4 bring something different to the table for you, though?
Yeah, I like all 4 of our guys in the room that are competing. And obviously having Deshaun in there is awesome because he's been a great help to the young guys, help to the veterans as we sit in there. I've said this, it's been really, really fun sitting in there you got really 3 vets all at different parts of their career with Joe and Kenny and Deshaun. You got 2 young guys in there with Dylan and Shedeur that are just sponges and listening. You have Bill Musgrave in there who's won a Super Bowl as a backup quarterback. He's 1 for 1 in the Super Bowl. You can check his stats. He's got perfect passer rating.
That works out well.
You got Tommy Reese in there, who's a young coordinator, but played the position. So it's a really, really cool mix of people. It's a cool mix of minds, and just to be able to talk football. So I've really, really enjoyed that room.
Love that. Love to hear that. And I think that, and I really think that like the core compilation, right? The core attitude and thought process that, he seems to be having, that is Kevin Stefanski towards the room, and specifically having the type of composition that he has, right? Because I do think that needs to be highlighted that, whether it's Dylan Gabriel, whether it's Shedeur, you're going to be equipped as a young quarterback with a lot of knowledge, right? I know how he kind of gets into the coordinators and things of that nature, and with those also, what I'm saying, add into or whatnot. But I think the biggest thing that we're looking at right here is a team where, even if, a Shedeur gets traded, even if Kenny Pickett gets traded, whether it's traded, not start back up, there's too much value on this Browns team to not think that, all of these players are going to find a way to get a little bit better. So that's a great thing to hear. And this one's a little bit, before we get into Joel Bitonio, before we get into some side stuff. Actually, no. Before we do that, let's finish up. Kevin Stefanski is going to talk about the team. He's going to talk about Kenny Pickett, and then we're going to hop right into Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel's comments as well, and then go from there.
Yeah, well, I'd say we meet with everybody, so I bet you Kenny met with all 32 teams. But I like how Kenny's wired. He's a really tough kid. When we traded for him, Coach Narduzzi called me right away and was thrilled, because he just believes in who the young man is and how he goes about his business. He's a gym rat. He's another guy that works extremely hard at his craft. But we're excited about his skill set. I'm excited about the things that he's been exposed to in his young career already. And then, he's just got to, like he's doing right now, he's focusing on putting one good day in front on top of another.
Kevin, has Shedeur taken some 11-on-11 reps when you were not out there, and do you think that we will see some of those on Wednesday when we do come in again?
Yes, and I would say there's a lot of work that gets done when you guys aren't out there, believe it or not. But even that's, and I say that, Mary Kay, even in a meeting or in a walkthrough, just our guys are getting exposed to a lot.
A day on the golf course is probably fun and obviously for a good cause, but how much do you look forward to this, having so much of the team getting together outside of the building?
Yeah, it's a big part of it, Cam. Just as you come together as a team, you want to spend time with each other, whether you're going out to get dinner or lunch or spending time over the weekend with each other. So this will be fun. I'll make sure that whoever captures some of these swings, I'll include them in the team meeting tomorrow. But the guys, they enjoy being out together, and we do have a few guys that enjoy the game of golf. So you'll see a few of them. They've been around town playing, and this is just another way for them to be around their teammates.
Kevin, you talked so much about the division. I was wondering what you thought about that proposal. I know it didn't pass, but to not, to reseed when it comes to the playoffs, do you think that kind of takes away from the emphasis you like to put on the division?
I do. I understand both sides of that argument, but I think winning your division really should be the primary goal of every team, and it should mean something where you get to host a playoff game. I understand some of the things that were brought up at the league meetings. We'll see if that gets revisited next year, which I would assume it does. But we know our division. We know how tough it is. We beat up on each other, and we feel like there should be some type of reward for that.
Oh, sorry. Woo. I had to come back. But no, I like that. There's multiple comments in there. I think the biggest one is about, the Browns being able to, build a different camaraderie. We're going to get to that. But also, he said, like, hey, man, there might be some work that Shedeur is doing that y'all don't get to see, right? So, is that stabbing at, maybe the overhype of Shedeur? Is that stabbing at just Mary Kay and her being a little nosy? I don't know. Y'all got to let me know down below in the comments. But let's hop right on to Dylan Gabriel and then Kenny Pickett.
I'm loving it.
Everything going good? Practice, everything's fun? Enjoying yourself?
Been a lot of fun, a lot of learning. As you know, just with change, there's things day to day that you just have to adjust to. There's no way around it, but
you're used to change, though.
Yeah, I am. So I think from this point on, I think you just know how to get into your routine a little quicker. Mm-hmm. There's still a time, spot that you got to kind of fill out and figure out and adjust to, your new normal. But I'd say I speeded up a lot better after being 3 different spots in college. Yeah. So that's helped me for sure.
How's the language of calling the plays for you?
Initially, you're piecing it together, and words don't really mean much. But now, as we kind of dive into it, now it's a lot easier, just knowing what these words mean. And
have you done much in the huddle before?
I have.
Okay.
And, in college, it honestly helped getting kind of the audio in that sense because, you know, a lot of it was visual. It signals and,
Yeah.
you know, that painting a picture. But now, you know, a voice in your head that's got to paint a picture for you. So it's just a different way of you know, getting the information and painting your own picture to go do what you do. But it's been an easier transition now because you're just living by it.
Well, it
you know,
feels like
every
the
single
two
day.
things for you and Shedeur coming from college, the hardest things are going to be language, calling plays nuddle, and then all the under center back to the defense
For sure.
play action,
For
which
sure.
is
Which
I know
I
you
think
did
it's helped.
some,
Yeah.
but not.
Yeah, as
it
much.
wasn't the bread and
living
butter.
in it. Yeah, living in it is a whole different deal. But you do it, you get comfy with it, and then, you know, really that's all pre-snap is once you get used to that with cadence, right? Because a lot of it is the clap for, you know, a lot of the college guys.
Yep.
That's the cadence of choice. But you know, now it's verbal, and you know, there's a lot more alerts, checks, and kills that you're a part of. But for the most part, you're introduced to it. At least I was at Oregon, so that helped a lot.
Yeah.
You know.
Love the way Dylan Gabriel carries himself. Again, I get that I'm supposed to be on the just Shedeur train, but really think that he does talk like a quarterback. He carries himself like a quarterback. He seems to, you know, not be faltered by any of the other things spoken about. So it's great to hear. But here is old Kenny, small hands, 2 gloves, Pickett. Let's see what he has to feel about selling into the Lions.
So what's it been like for you coming here? Obviously, you know that when the Browns trade for you, they're very interested. You know that given the relationship between the Browns and the Eagles front offices, they couldn't have better intel. So they're very obviously excited to give you this opportunity. What's it been like kind of coming in here? I remember we talked, I think probably the day you got here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
so
love
just
your
taking
confidence,
it,
but what's it just been like now that you're here, you're around the guys, you're assimilating in?
Yeah, I think it's just getting to know. This is such a great time to get to know your teammates. You know, we're all, you know, the guys that are new. Obviously, we don't have any connections really here. You know, I've known a couple guys, but just getting to know your teammates, competing every day, getting with the coaches and learning the system. You know, this is the perfect time to do that.
So shout out to Kenny Pickett. You know, by definition, we would look at him as a veteran at this particular time, right? But he brings up something important and something that I want to speak about. Bit of a rant, something of I told you so when it comes to these things. And a part of that, let me let this play first. Actually, I'm going to comment on Kenny Pickett. And I think the things that Kenny Pickett is saying as a veteran, as someone who's now won a Super Bowl, who knows how to do it, it just kind of doubles down on what I was speaking to earlier, just the abundance of wealth of knowledge, right, and a wealth of experiences, right? You've got, you know, backup quarterback championship, Super Bowl winners. You got Joe Flacco, who's done it at the highest levels. You got Deshaun Watson, who has had, you know, a lot of, you know, I know people want to talk about the craziness, but if you want anyone who knows how to deal with adversity, you go see if that boy's Instagram comments have still been turned on yet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he knows how to handle those things. So there's so much there. The fact that Dylan Gabriel is, you know, seemingly very willing to go at it. Shedeur Sanders seems to be diving in with his teammates. And then, of course, Kenny Pickett seems to be very open to ensuring that and accepting his role, right? I feel like that man that we heard from Kenny Pickett was someone who, hey, look, if I'm coming in here to be a backup, that's what I'm coming in here to do. But if I'm coming in here to get it done, just like Joe Flacco said, hey, I'm not going to falter. I'm not going to allow things to be put on the back burner for my opportunity, my family, and what I need to get done. But here is Kevin Stefanski, kind of what I was alluding to, because, you know, he ended off with like, hey, how much new, right? You got 2 new quarterbacks, which is insane. That's not normal. I'm not sure how long. You know, this is not me making fun of y'all. Again, some people literally might be new to football. Not very common to draft 2 quarterbacks in the same draft, right? And then on top of that, you just signed Kenny. You got Joe Flacco. I think you just signed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Browns fan. Didn't they just sign both of them like in the offseason? So you got that. The Deshaun Watson thing is one person is saying that he could throw them all. Another person is saying he's never going to play football again, right? Like Nick Chubb is gone. Myles Garrett just signed a Joe Thomas contract of, hey, stay here and lose, okay? And what Kevin Stefanski is about to say about this team identity is something I said 2 weeks ago. It's something where I said that, look, if you do want to build an identity as a Browns team, why not Shedeur Sanders? Well, let's hear it.
That offseason program, you're really building a foundation, and that's for the players. You're building a foundational understanding of scheme. You're building a foundation of the culture, like Cam was talking about earlier, just being around your teammates. So that's really what we're doing right now. When we get to training camp, we'll build on top of that foundation, but so much of what we're doing right now is just making sure that the guys understand who we are, what it means when we say Cleveland Browns, what it means when we say offense, defense, special teams, how we play.
because we're different than the other teams in our division, just like they're different than us. We want to make sure that we have an identity that's unique to us. So a lot of that is building that foundation now, so that when you get to training camp, you can build upon that.
But yeah, this is what I'm trying to. This is what I was trying to imply, right? And he kind of says that also in a lot of different words with the first part of the season, right? This is a completely new team. Again, it might seem like the same old Browns, and I guess it is the same old Browns, but when you think about all the new change, all the turnover, all the lack of identity, right? There's a teams can rebuild and still keep an identity, but the Browns have exclusively not had an identity. I don't think they've had an identity since Baker Mayfield left, maybe even before then. Even before then, since before Johnny Manziel, right? There has been no, hey, we are the Browns, we do this, right? Maybe Peyton Hillis, maybe that for 1 year. But when you really look at what the culture is, like when you look at the Ravens, the culture is, okay, Lamar, it's heavy run game. It's a stout defense, right? There's a culture there that you know what to expect. There's a swag that comes with Lamar Jackson. Buffalo, hey, Josh Allen is that culture. Hey, hard working, that blue collar Buffalo, New York style. He embodies that. The team embodies that. It's a bunch of gamers who go out there and do it. Those are the Bills, right? You go over to San Fran. San Fran is a bunch of people who almost Bill Belichick-y, where it's like, hey, just do your job. A defense with people who are insanely fundamental in offense, where if you click on all cylinders, nobody can stop it, right? So where is that identity? They need to find it. In some place that they used to have a large identity in was the offensive line for a weird reason. Obviously, Joe Bitonio, a legendary offensive lineman, specifically for the Browns. And obviously Joe Thomas, one of the most legendary offensive linemen in the NFL. But here he is speaking in that same thing, kind of speaking on the convos he had on returning for his 12th season, 12 of them things at offensive line. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's been great. I was truly, like, it was truly a decision, like this offseason. Like, I was, at the end of the year, I was, truly deciding if I wanted to play anymore. And I kind of sat at home for a month or two and was in and around and talked to my wife. And we just, like, went through the process. And I was like, I can still play football at a high level. I still want to play football. And, after the discussions with Coach Stefanski and Andrew Berry, and they don't tell you, like, who they're drafting or anything, but, just the style of offense we were going to run, who we're going to, try and bring in at quarterback. Offensive line coach, Coach Bloom was a big part of it. He was just, we went to dinner a couple times and just talked on his philosophies. All those things played in, but at the end of the day, I was like, I'm not ready to be done. I want to play more, and I want to play in Cleveland, and that was kind of my mindset. So
they got another Joe Thomas they're going to lock up, someone who plays great football, but the Browns will probably not reward them with a championship. I hope they do. That'd be crazy. If the Browns can do that, please reward a hard worker like Joe Bitonio. I hope you could have done it for Joe Thomas, but here we are. And here we are. Even though Joe Bitonio is a guard, you have some offensive tackle news. Free agent Jedrick Willis is planning to sit out the 2025 season and fully recover. The former Browns top 10 pick has drawn interest from multiple teams and is still just 26 years old, but believes in taking time to move forward in a long-term future career. So this is also, he's a former Brown. He's not on the Browns. He's not like, the Browns didn't lose a player, but interesting to see here where you have, Joe Bitonio coming in, again, guard and tackle also coming into his 12th year, while you have a 26-year-old player who believes that he can't even, he's not even going to be able to last another year. So that's craziness. But hey, insane day, great day. I love to hear from Coach Stefanski. Love to hear it from the QBs. Good, phenomenal time, man. Y'all comment down below how you feel about Kevin Stefanski's comments, how you feel about the future, how you feel about the team meshing and gelling together. Feel free to like this video, man, if you like it. Dislike if you don't like it. Subscribe if you enjoy football content of all shapes and sizes, man. Hit that. I already told you to like it. I already told you to subscribe. I told you you're great, though, because you are great. You're amazing. We'll see you next time. Appreciate it.